Hey everyone, so today we're going to explore a practical strategy that we can use to help facilitate an unlocking of the midfoot, or a pronation and internal rotation of the midfoot, to help restore more of an adaptable foot that can distribute forces. And we're going to look at this within the context of a client with a foot that's very supinated, very high arched, that really struggles to drop the midfoot, to express that more adaptable position. And let's say this client has been struggling to experience that pronation of the foot with low load strategies, low load drills. So now what we have to do is we need to use higher, more progressively loaded strategies to help encourage that pronation and internal rotation of the midfoot. Because again, that pronation and internal rotation of the midfoot is an important local feature of the foot to help distribute forces across the foot, to help the foot become more adaptable. And as a result, because the foot's in direct contact with the external environment, it allows the lower limb to become more adaptable. Okay. And like I said, in many strategies, low load strategies, where we're not putting high levels of force or just using our body weight to try and facilitate that pronation and internal rotation of the midfoot, it may not be enough. So in this video, we're going to show you a strategy where we're in a position that gives us the capacity to add progressively more external load through the foot to really encourage that midfoot pronation. So we're going to be in a seated position here with the foot elevated in this case, just to bring the femur parallel to the ground, because we're going to add progressive external load to the femur here to really encourage that movement into the foot. And let's say we have a really high arched foot that we just can't seem to unlock. We can't seem to drop that medial arch. And so the key here is we're going to slide the foot back initially. Okay, so we're expressing more of a positive shin angle. And then we're going to externally rotate and abduct the foot as a whole, which essentially means we're pointing the foot out to the side. And we can start with a 30-degree twist or rotation outwards of the foot and progress towards a 45-degree turnout if we need to. But the key here is that it's just the foot turning out, not the tibia and femur. Okay, the tibia and femur will turn out slightly, but if we limit their movement and keep them more sagittally orientated relative to the foot, if you like, then they're expressing more of an internal rotation relative to the externally rotated foot. And what this does is it helps us to keep that distribution of load to the inside portion of the foot, which is key to facilitate that pronation. And then what it also does as well is it just allows a space to pronate the foot into. Okay, and so it's the combination of the foot turnout, which gives a space to pronate the foot into, and then the relative internal rotation of the tibia and femur that's key to helping mobilize that midfoot here. And the next part is really the most important part. And what we're going to do is we're going to load up the femur with some heavy plates so we can get some top-down load through the foot to further encourage that dropping of the medial arch. And this is one of the main benefits of the seated position versus a standing position, because the seated position makes it much easier to add external load and progressively increase that external load. But it also allows us to accumulate much more time under that load to really encourage that midfoot mobilization. And as a progression, what we can do is we can allow the heel to hover off the back of the step. And this is where the step elevation is key. And what we can do then is we can drop the heel down, which encourages more dorsiflexion at the ankle, which will further help facilitate some pronation of the foot. And we're just going to slowly pulse here. So we're getting some load into the distal plantar flexors as we dorsiflex and plantar flex through a very small range of motion, all while encouraging that midfoot pronation. So this is a great early phase strategy that we can use to add progressively more load to encourage movement into the foot in that seated position. And we can add progressively more load depending on the individual. But we'll eventually want to progress towards integrating that pronation of the midfoot into a position where the foot is orientated more so in the sagittal plane, so we don't have to encourage that foot turnout. But the foot turnout gives us the capacity to have space to pronate the foot into. So it's a great early phase strategy. Obviously, we don't necessarily want to only be able to pronate the foot with the feet turned out that much, but it serves as a great platform to encourage that early phase mobilization of the foot.